Have you ever really thought about that almost invisible protector in your car, the front airbag?
Hmm.
It's just always there, ready, and it turns out it's actually the core of this huge and, well, rapidly growing global industry.
It really is. It's such a critical safety piece, isn't it? And what's fascinating about this market isn't just that it's growing, but the sheer scale and the consistency of that growth projected out over the next decade or so.
Absolutely. So today we're doing one of our deep dives, this time into the global vehicle front airbag market.
Right.
Our goal here is really to uncover the big trends, the key financial figures, obviously, and maybe some surprising regional differences that are shaping things through 2033.
And we're working from a pretty detailed forecast here from cognitive market research. It lays out the numbers quite clearly.
It does, and those numbers, they paint a very compelling picture right from the get-go. Global sales revenue back in 2021, already over $11 billion. dollars.
11 billion. Yeah, that's a serious foundation to build on.
And it's definitely not stalling. The forecast shows it climbing to more than 14 billion by 2025.
Okay.
And then looking further out by 2033, we're talking about a market value projected to, well, nearly double to an impressive $23.6 billion. dollars.
Wow, nearly double. So if you think about what that means, that kind of sustained increase points to a pretty robust compound annual growth rate, the CAGR. It's about 6.4, maybe 6.45% between 2025 and 2033.
All right.
And that's not just, ticking up slightly. It suggests a really fundamental global push towards vehicle safety driving this massive market expansion.
Okay, so let's try and unpack this growth because like you hinted, it's definitely not the same everywhere. The data really points to Asia Pacific as the clear leader.
Yeah, undeniably. Back in 2021, that region alone was worth nearly $4.6 billion.
That's a huge slice of the global pie, isn't it?
It is. It really shows its dominance, and its growth path is just remarkable. Forecast to go over $6 billion in 2025 and then soar past $10.4 billion by 2033.
10.4 billion.
Yeah. And its CGR, about 7.1%, is noticeably higher than that global average we just mentioned.
So within Asia Pacific, who's really driving that? I mean, China jumps out,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. China is leading the charge.
Okay.
Its market is expected to more than double from around 1.87 billion in 2021 to almost 4.4 billion by 2033. That's a strong 7.3% CAGR.
And India's right there too, showing some serious momentum.
Serious momentum is right. From just over 750 million in 2021, it's projected to leap to over 1.8 billion by 2033. That's an even more impressive CAGR, 7.6%.
So that does raise a question, doesn't it? What's really fueling that kind of rapid growth, especially in, say, developing markets compared to more established ones? Is it just more cars being sold or new safety rules or maybe just people wanting safer cars?
Well, the research suggests it's likely a mix of all those things. Rising incomes, stricter regulations coming online, plus that growing consumer awareness about safety features. It's a powerful combination.
Makes sense. And we still see solid growth in mature markets too, like Japan. It's set to grow to over 1.25 billion with a CAGR around 6.1%. Still pretty healthy.
Hmm. But then you look at areas like Southeast Asia, projected near 950 million by 2033. That's almost an 8% CAGR.
Wow.
And the rest of APAC category, even higher, over 8% CAGR.
So it's really broad-based. It's not just China and India. The expansion is happening across the region.
Exactly. It points to a significant widespread shift.
Cool.
Okay, so moving across the globe, Europe. It's an interesting picture there, kind of diverse growth trends.
Right. So Europe's market, it goes from about 2.67 billion in 2021 to an expected 5.3 billion by 2033. That's a CAGR of about 5.9% overall.
A bit lower than APAC, but still very solid growth.
So what stands out within Europe? You've got the big economies, Germany growing to over 1.2 billion. That's about 5.5% CAGR. The UK hitting over 780 million, around 5.1% CAGR. France, a bit slower, maybe 4.4%. Yeah, those are kind of what you might expect. But what's really interesting, I think, are the variations. Look at Spain. It has a higher CAGR, 6.4%, getting close to 415 million.
Okay.
But then this rest of Europe category, that really jumps out.
How so?
Well, it shows exceptionally high growth. It's rocketing from just over 310 million back in 2021 to over 915 million projected for 2033. The KGR there is a standout 9.2%.
9.2%. Wow, that's huge. What do you think is behind that?
Well, it's hard to say definitively from just this data, but it could reflect, maybe faster adoption of stricter safety standards in countries that were perhaps a bit behind, or maybe new auto manufacturing moving into, say, Eastern Europe, creating a surge in local demand. It's definitely something to watch. Could signal some big shifts in the European auto landscape.
Interesting. And then just to show the range, you have a place like Luxembourg noted with a much lower CAGR, around 3%, so quite varied indeed.
Definitely. Okay, shall we pivot to North America?
Yeah, let's look there. Also showing steady expansion. The market grew from just over 2.1 billion in 2021, projected to hit 4.5 billion by 2033. The CAGR there is 6.6%, pretty close to the global average.
And within North America, no surprise, the U.S. is the largest chunk, going from about 1.4 billion to nearly 2.9 billion by 2033. That's a 6.1% CAGR.
Okay.
Canada also showing strong growth, from over 400 million to nearly 940 million. That's a 7.2% CAGR. So a bit faster than the U.S.
Right. But here's where it gets really interesting for North America, I think. Mexico.
Ah, yes,
It's
Mexico.
actually leading the growth within the region, a remarkable 7.8% CAGR, jumping from almost 280 million in 2021 to nearly 687 million by 2033.
That is a significant surge for Mexico, isn't it? That could mean maybe a rapidly expanding local car manufacturing sector, or just more new cars being sold domestically, perhaps fueled by, a growing middle class and tougher safety rules coming in.
Could be a combination. Now let's compare this to, say, South America. The data shows it's consistent, but definitely a slower growth path compared to the other big regions we've looked at.
Right. The market there is projected to grow from about 850 million in 2021 to nearly 1.5 billion by 2033. But the CAGR is lower, around 4.9%.
Yeah, that's the lowest regional CAGR among the major continents we've covered so far. Makes you wonder about the specific economic factors or maybe regulatory timelines there.
True, but like you said, it is still consistent growth. Brazil holds the biggest share, as you'd expect, growing to over 618 million, but its CAGR is a bit lower, 4.4%.
Okay, but Colombia seems to be the growth leader within South America.
That's right. Colombia shows the strongest growth in the region, a 6.2% CAGR, increasing to almost $240 million by 2033.
Okay, interesting dynamic there too. So finally, let's look at the Middle East and Africa. Seems like emerging opportunities there.
Definitely. The Middle East market going from about 626 million in 2021 to over 1.2 billion by 2033. That's a 5.7% CAGR.
And within the Middle East.
Saudi Arabia is the leader in terms of size, projected around 475 million. But Qatar, interestingly, shows really high growth, a 7.5% CAGR, jumping from about 36 million to over 85 million. Small base, but fast growth.
Got it. And Africa?
Africa's market size was just over 335 million in 2021. It's projected to more than double, hitting nearly 710 million by 2033. That's a 6% CAGR overall for the continent.
And the breakdown there?
South Africa leads the market, growing towards 312 million with a 6.3% CAGR. And similar to APAC, the rest of Africa category is showing quite robust growth too, around 6.6% CAGR.
So that suggests, increasing car ownership maybe and safety standards starting to gain traction even in developing African markets.
I think so. So let's try and connect the dots here. What does all this data really tell us?
Well, the big picture seems to be this consistent growth across basically all major regions, right? It points to a really strong, sustained global demand for these core safety components.
Exactly. It's not just one region booming. It feels like a fundamental expansion driven by, more cars being made globally, tougher safety rules becoming the norm, and maybe just consumers everywhere expecting better safety.
Totally agree. And while that global average CAGR is around 6.4%, we saw those definite pockets of much higher growth. You mentioned Mexico, that rest of Europe figure was surprising. India, Southeast Asia, rest of APAC, Qatar. And then you have the slower areas like Luxembourg or Brazil.
Right. And that variation tells you a lot, doesn't it? About how different markets are maturing, how quickly safety tech is being adopted. It suggests safety isn't just a developed world thing anymore. It's rapidly becoming universal.
Yeah. And just the sheer scale of the final projection, over $23 billion by 2033, that really implies safety is deeply embedded now. It's not an option. It's just, expected in pretty much every new vehicle around the world.
It's become a non-negotiable baseline, hasn't it?
Seems like it. Okay, so just to quickly recap our deep dive then. The global vehicle front airbag market. It's on a really impressive path, substantial growth, widespread across all continents. It really highlights this ongoing strong focus on vehicle safety.
Yeah. So for you listening in, maybe think about what this continuous expansion really means. What are the implications for how cars will be designed in the future, or what manufacturers prioritize? And what about global road safety overall? Does this kind of growth in a core safety feature change how we should think about transportation?
hmm Are we seeing safety standards kind of converge globally, or are those regional differences actually widening in some ways?
Good question.
And maybe one last provocative thought to leave you with as we wrap up. Given this really significant growth we're seeing projected just for front airbags, what other vehicle safety tech, maybe thinking beyond airbags, could see similar or maybe even faster adoption in the next decade?
Right. And what things, maybe tech breakthroughs, new rules, or just what people want, might speed up or maybe slow down getting those advanced safety features into every single car on the road. Something to ponder. Ever think about those silent protectors in your car? Airbags.
The things you hope you never, ever need.
Exactly. But they give you that sense of security. We sort of take them for granted, right?
We do.
But our research for this deep dive shows this surprising push and pull between demand and cost that really shapes the market for vehicle front airbags.
Right. And our mission today is basically to unpack that. We want to give you the key insights, a shortcut to understanding the market dynamics.
And some of those drivers for adoption are pretty unexpected.
Definitely. And also the significant financial hurdles involved in getting these into every car.
Okay, so let's start with demand. We saw something pretty striking in the material, this huge growing global appetite for safety features.
Yeah, that really stood out.
So what's the main thing fueling that?
It seems to be largely driven by just, well, growing consumer awareness, people understanding how important safety is. And that awareness boost is really pushing front airbag adoption, especially in emerging markets. People are actively looking for cars that feel safer.
And the numbers really highlight that, don't they? Globally, it was, what, 77%?
That's right. A huge majority, 77% globally, saying they want all the safety features they can get. It says a lot about priorities.
It really does.
And you know what's fascinating? The regional differences.
Ah, yes. Tell us about that.
Well, South Africa, for instance, leads the pack. We looked at 43 countries, and nearly 9 out of 10 consumers there, 89% want maximum safety features.
Wow, 89%. That's huge.
It's remarkable, and it's not just an outlier. Some Asian markets are way above the average, too. Indonesia hit 84%.
Good.
Thailand was 79%, China 78%. They all significantly outpace that global 77%.
So why such high demand there? Any ideas from the research?
Well, it suggests maybe unique local factors. Perhaps it's a reaction to, say, rapid urbanization, more traffic, maybe even new regulations popping up that make people more safety conscious in those specific places.
That makes sense. And this strong consumer demand, it feeds right into the car industry's focus on safety ratings, right?
Exactly. It's a direct link.
Cars with features like front airbags, they're just much more likely to get those high safety scores.
Mm-hmm.
So how do the ratings then loop back and drive even more adoption?
It becomes this symbiotic relationship, a feedback loop, really.
Uh-huh.
Consumers want safety. That means they want highly rated cars.
Right.
And that consumer pull, well, it really pushes manufacturers to put in features like front airbags to get those ratings. It just reinforces itself.
Interesting.
But, an interesting side effect is that sometimes manufacturers might prioritize the visible safety stuff, the things that directly impact ratings.
Over maybe less marketable but still important internal safety things.
Precisely. Things that aren't as easy to advertise but are still crucial.
Okay, so huge demand driven by awareness and safety ratings, but there's always a but, isn't there?
It usually is.
The flip side here seems to be the cost. Our material really points to the high cost of airbag systems as a major restraint.
Yes, that's the other side of the coin.
So what does that cost barrier actually mean for the industry?
Well, it can be, frankly, prohibitively expensive for some car makers.
Especially in those price-sensitive markets you mentioned.
Exactly. Think about emerging markets. It's not just buying the airbag unit itself. You've got all the R&D, the complex sensors, the deployment system.
Right, the testing.
Oh, rigorous crash testing, often repeated, for full integration. All of that adds up and can really limit putting front airbags in, say, certain types of vehicles or lower cost segments.
Let's put some numbers on that cost for you, the listener. Beyond just making the car, if you need an airbag replaced after an accident.
Which hopefully never happens.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
But if it does, you're typically looking at, what, $1,000 to $2,000 just for one.
Yeah, in that ballpark for a single replacement.
Hmm.
But if it's a more serious accident, multiple bags deploy, or the repairs complex.
Then it climbs higher.
Oh yeah, it can escalate fast, potentially hitting $3,000, maybe even $5,000.
Wow, that's significant.
And there's more nuance too. The actual price really varies depending on the car's make and model,
Sure.
and even where the airbag is. Like a passenger side airbag is usually more complex, so more expensive than the driver side one.
Okay.
And then don't forget labor, that can easily add another $80 to $100 per hour onto the final bill.
Oof. It really makes you think about those hidden costs of owning a car, doesn't it? Beyond just the sticker price.
Absolutely. It's a major ongoing expense potential.
And this high cost, it's not just impacting basic front airbags, is it? It also holds back more advanced stuff.
That's right. We're talking about things like adaptive airbags.
Those are the ones that deploy with different force depending on the crash.
Exactly, based on crash severity, occupant size, things like that. Or knee airbags.
To protect your legs and stop you sliding under the dash.
Right, prevent that submarining.
Yeah.
But yeah, predictably, these advanced systems are even more expensive to develop and install.
So they end up being out of reach for a lot of cars, a lot of market segments.
Puts them further up the price chain.
Okay, so if we try and connect all these dots, what's the big picture tension here for car makers?
Well, you've got this really strong global demand from consumers saying, we want safety.
Mm.
But at the same time, manufacturers are grappling with these really significant costs, implementing the systems, testing them, covering potential replacement down the line.
It's a constant balancing act.
A very delicate one, yes.
And it makes you wonder about the different market segments, right? Like luxury cars versus your entry-level models.
For sure.
Do these cost pressures basically create a kind of safety divide where the best protection is only for those who can afford the premium?
That's a real risk. In, say, an emerging market where affordability is absolutely key, what's the trickiest part for a manufacturer?
Yeah, what's their calculation?
Well, they have to hit a certain price point to even sell the car. But they also need to meet safety expectations and often regulations.
So they have to compromise somewhere.
They might have to. Maybe fewer airbags or less sophisticated ones. Or maybe they cut costs on other features to afford the basic front airbags just to stay competitive.
It's deciding where you draw that line.
Exactly. Without losing safety-conscious buyers or killing your profit margin. It's tough.
So wrapping up this deep dive, we've really seen this core tension. On one hand, this undeniable global push for safer vehicles, for sophisticated airbags.
A clear demand signal.
But then contrasted really sharply with the very real, very considerable costs.
Yeah.
Manufacturing them, installing them, maintaining them.
It's the classic demand versus dollars situation.
Which leaves us with something for you, the listener, to think about.
Yeah, a final thought to chew on.
Yeah.
How are car makers going to balance this going forward? Innovation versus affordability.
Will technology breakthroughs eventually bring down the costs? Make advanced airbags more common everywhere?
Or will our desire for maximum safety just keep pushing prices up for the best protection?
And what does that mean for the future of vehicle safety being truly widespread? Accessible across all types of cars, not just the high-end ones.
That's the big question, isn't it?